Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you guys a very detailed tutorial on how I do a lace closure sew-in. Today is a bob, but I am going to show you guys the method that you use for any type of lace closure sew-in. This is a side part. I notice a lot of people like doing lace closures with middle parts, but either one works. And the same method, you will use this method for a middle part as well. Okay, so she is natural. I usually have natural clients, and a lace closure sew-in is perfect for a natural client because you don't have any leave out. Always moisturize the hair under a protective style. I use the Blue Magic conditioner. It's called conditioner dresser. So it's basically like a product just to put on your hair to moisturize it. I also use the Eben Edge Control. You can use the purple top. I think that's the most hold, but the yellow top will work as well. I don't really like the purple top anymore because it leaves like a white residue. I'm sure you guys have noticed the same thing. So for right here, I'm just going to braid the hair down against the part on every side. Every braid, all the braids are going to go towards the ear, and in the back all the braids are going to go towards the nape of the neck. So I lay the edges before I braid them, and then I braid that into it. Now if she has any like weak edges, or she has thin hair, then you can add braiding hair just a little bit for the foundation braids, because that's where a lot of the weave is going to end up on the foundation. So you want to make sure the foundation is pretty sturdy. So the hair that I use for the bob today is the Viso hair. The hair is pretty good. It says it's 100% human hair, but one thing I did notice about this hair is if you have the flat iron too high, the hair will start to kind of crimple, or crinkle, crimp. You know, basically it looks like it's a mixed type of hair where it's synthetic with human fibers in it, but it says it's 100% human, so you know. To each his own, but your girl found out that the hair crimps under high temperatures. You'll be able to see it when I'm done, what I mean. But so when it comes to sewing in bobs, this is my technique that I use. I sew straight up like the back of the hair and the side of the hair where it's going to be the lesser hair. So like if I have a left, you see I have a part on the left side. I bring it over to that side whenever I'm sewing, and I bring it over to the back. But when it comes to the bang area where you want a heavy bang, I neglect that side and I will use like the longer length. So I have a 10 and a 12 inch and the closure is a 14 inch. That way I want more of an asymmetrical bob. So I sew the 10 inch in the back and on the left side. And then on the right side, I will sew the 12 inch so that way her bang is heavy and longer. And then for the closure, it will be a 14 inch. That way the top of her hair can have more length as well. She could have got a 12 inch, but I decided just to get a 14 inch just to be safe. So as you can see, I'll track the bottoms on the side and I'll keep going up. Now, you don't want to sew right now too close to where the closure is going to be. If you're not sure where the closure exactly is going to lay, you can go ahead and lay the closure first. I usually don't lay the closure first, and let me tell you why I don't anymore. Because a lot of times people, how do I explain it? A lot of times people bring their closures in when they're not customized, and in order to give me time to customize them, I'll braid the hair down, go customize the closure, and then braid and then sew the bundles in, and then sew the closure on top and finish the bundles. You get what I'm saying? That way it gives the closure time to process and bleach, and then give me time to, while still sewing in the bundles. You don't want to just have the client just sitting there waiting and you're not doing anything while the closure is being customized. So you're basically just trying to save time and trying to be productive with the time that you have. It typically takes me about 2.5 hours to do closure sew-ins. So that's how long I want it to take. I don't want it to take no much longer than that. So yes. So here is a closure all bleached and partly customized. As you can see, the knots are bleached, the knots are brown, they're not black anymore. So in order to prep her hair and her head for the closure, I like to use Got2b glue gel on her edges and on the part. It does a few things for me. So whenever you apply that gel and let it get tacky, okay, so the closure is like a piece of fabric. Whenever you apply that gel on the scalp and apply the spray, the blasting spray on the scalp, and let it dry for a couple minutes, it gets tacky. Once it gets tacky, whenever I'm laying the closure down and finding the part, and like right before I sew the edges down, it allows my closures to lay flatter than a pancake, okay? Like flat. So that's just a little trick I have. I don't know how other people do their closures. Honestly, this just works for me. It just helps me keep the closure steady and secure while sewing it. You get what I'm saying? And it allows me to see how the part is going to look before I sew it down. You get what I'm saying? You see how I'm parting and you can kind of tell how the part's going to be right now? And it will shift. So try to hold it tight. As you can see, I'm kind of like just trying to fix it and line it up with the part. But yeah, so it will shift. So you have to be very careful. You have to have assistance with your clients. After I find the part, I like to pluck the part so that way I have a clear view of how I want the part. And so on and so on. As you can see with the comb, what I'm doing is I'm smoothing the hair and the lace onto the gel that's underneath. That way, again, it gives me like a seamless area where I'm going to have the part. So right here, I'm just going to lightly customize the closure more and make the part bigger and more visible and more skin-like. Now that I have the closure pretty much where I want it, I'm going to put a little bit more Got2b glue gel, let it get tacky, and then I'm going to start sewing. So the best explanation, like I explained in my other video, I make an anchor braid. So, I make an anchor with the thread attached to the braid. So I like to start with the edges of the closure and then make a thread anchored to the braid behind it and just keep going back and forth to get it to be secure. That is going to just prevent your closure from lifting and prevent your closure from sliding back and allow your closure to lie flat, even though, hint, hint, there is no hair right there. So you're going to keep doing that. I do that about 5 to 6 times. And then after that, then I'm going to continue sewing back. And that's previously explained in my other video, my detailed closure video. Even though there is no braid in between the spaces and I didn't use a net, I'm still going to sew through the closure and pull that down, because if you have too many gappy spaces in the closure, it's not going to lay down completely flat. So you have to sew close together, and if you don't have a hair or no nets on your head, you're not going to be able to sew the closure extremely flat. So again, even though I don't have a braid in between the spaces where you see her scalp, I am still sewing through. Of course, I'm not sewing through her brain, I'm just sewing through I'm just sewing through the closure and then securing it with the next braid. So I'm going to turn around and do the same for the opposite side. Once I get towards the back of every side of the closure, I'm actually going to reverse and go backwards towards the front and just secure the bag, No, just playing. Not secure the bag, but I'm going to secure the closure. And I want to do that and need to do that because I'm actually going to go and sew the closure straight across in the front. So I want to be able to kind of get my closure going and be able to reverse and go back and end up at the front instead of having to cut out the closure, cut out the thread and then seal in the thread and then starting back over in the front. It just seems like it blends better and it's more secure this way. So this is how I like to do it. Another way to keep my closure flat, I like to use my other fingers to press down where the part is or near the part. So that way I still have the part secured and the closure is not shifting everywhere. Even though the Got2b glue helps it, you still want to secure it with your fingers to keep the closure from being flat. If you ever notice you sew the closure down and the closure wrinkles or it folds and you're trying to figure out how did that happen, it's because you did not pull the closure taut enough. You didn't pull the closure tight enough and you didn't smooth down the lace while sewing the closure down. So that's why you have the closure bunching up in that part, and we don't want that because it's really ugly looking and it's really wiggy looking and it's not cute. So yeah. So now I'm back at the front of the closure. As you can see, I parted spots where her foundation braid is on the front, and I'm going to sew straight across. Be very, 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 very careful with this, guys. Take your time if you've never done this or you're not really comfortable doing this, because you can poke your client with the needle, and we don't want that because it can cause them to bleed and all these germs are being spread and ain't nobody got time for that, okay? So I'm just going to sew towards the part and then reverse and then sew back towards the bottom of the braid. You're just really going to feel for the braid and just lightly go through the lace on top of the braid. Don't try to get to the scalp. Don't try to do none of that. Just go on top of the braid and sew. You can wrap the thread around the needle twice to secure it, and that will help you as well. I'm going to pin the side out the way and then go to the other side and do the same for the opposite side. Once you secure the front of the closure like this, then, only then, do you secure the back of the closure. You do not want to do the sides of the closure and then secure the back and then your front is sliding backwards. You get what I'm saying? You're going to want to secure the front of the closure and then sew the back of the closure. It's going to save you some headache, honey, because you will have to start over because the closure will be so pushed back. It's going to look real crazy. So that's another key that I use. Okay, before I go, I wanted to show this part for you guys. Just in case you guys are curious about how the bang goes, I like to double weft my tracks on this part until you get to the very top where the closure is. You do not want to double weft the tracks right when you get to the top where the closure is because it's going to be lumpy. But when it comes to the bang, you're going to want the bang to fall in her face for a deep part. So you are going to sew in a curve the tracks upwards towards her forehead, and that way the hair will fall in her face. Make sure also, since this is only going to be this side part that you're sewing, it's not going to be all the way around her head, that you're getting very, very close to the other bundles that you sewed in the back. That way it's not like spacey and gappy right there. Also, when I'm double wefting the tracks, when I get towards the front of her head, if the tracks are double wefted, sometimes they can be bulky. So you're just going to want to split the tracks at the top and then combine them whenever you get towards the back of the bundles. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. The part 2 of kind of how to style and layer a bob will be up next. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Love you guys so much. And I will talk to you guys later in my next video. Love you guys. Bye. Mwah.